Welcome back to the Now Morning Show. So we are talking about the National Day of Caring, which is on the 19th of May. So you do have some time. And to learn a bit more in studio with us this morning, we have from United Way Trinidad and Tobago, Gail Suknarine, CEO of United Way, and Ian Benjamin, Chairman of United Way Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning to both of you and welcome.
Good morning, Natasha. Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure to have both of you on the show. How are you both doing this morning?
Very good, thanks.
Wonderful. So let's get into the background of the organization first, because many times, especially on social media, we will see, these messages coming through, but we don't necessarily have that background. So can we get a background of United Way?
Sure. So United Way Trinidad and Tobago is part of a global franchise of United Ways. So those of us who have traveled to North America might be familiar with them. And each United Way is often specific to, in larger countries, a city, and of course here in Trinidad to the country. And we are elsewhere in the Caribbean, United Way, there's a United Way in Jamaica and so on. But the Trinidad United Way was established in 1999. Noor Hassan Ali, former president, was one of the moving forces behind it. He thought it would be an excellent idea. He spent a lifetime of public service, as you know. Less well known is his commitment to civil society. So when the opportunity arose to bring United Way to Trinidad, he was one of the people who was instrumental in that. I joined the board 4 years later in 2003. And for my sins, which are too many to mention, I'm the chairman of the board and very happy to be here with you this morning.
Awesome. It's a pleasure to have you here as well. Let's get into what the main objective of United Way is. We see a lot of good things going on in the community. Gail?
So we have a philosophy where we want to build communities where every person can thrive. And we feel we can only do that through connective work. And so what we try to do is bring corporate partners together, collectively working, getting resources to be able to work in communities and with NGOs to help those communities that are in need.
Absolutely wonderful. Now, this brings some sort of context to what we see. We see homes being built. We see communities coming together. So let's speak about National Day of Caring. What exactly is it, and what are we going to do about it? How are we getting involved?
Well, I mean, Trinis are good if you give them an occasion, right? An occasion to show their generosity, to show their hospitality, to show how well they work together. So United Way's National Day of Caring is such an opportunity. It's once a year. And what we're really doing is we're curating needs on the one hand and resources on the other. So, for instance, just by way of example, a children's home may get in contact with us and say, we would like you to repaint our library, for instance. So you then try to connect them with either a group of employees from a corporate entity, either themselves or with other corporates, looking at that as a project, willing to adopt it and to execute that project all on the 19th of May. And we'll be doing that across the country. So that really it's a series of projects where we are allowing Trinis to do what they do very well, which is to do good, to give of themselves, to give of their resources, and to volunteer their time.
I'm glad you mentioned volunteer, because that was my next question, because you did mention organizations. But what about individuals who may be interested in donating their time and resources?
All individuals have to do is to get in contact with us, or they can go to their bosses or their managers or their supervisors and say, we would like to get involved, because it doesn't have to be the whole entity. It could be the department, it could be the corporate secretary's department, it could be PR department. And depending on what the capacity is, then we will find a project that you can execute. And that extends to you, by the way.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sitting here, my brain is ticking at the same time. So let's speak about this year. Is there a theme tied to each Day of Caring?
Yes, we had a theme last year that we feel could translate it to this year as well, and that is Show You Care Everywhere, because we feel that that's an important theme, and we feel that it's so impactful that we're asking people to come out to be what we call care ambassadors. And through any act of kindness, I think we can show you care everywhere. And so that's what the theme is about, whether you're at school, whether you're in a workplace, whether you're in a community. How can we help each other by making each other's lives better? Yeah,
definitely. So, of course, as I would have mentioned earlier, you always see, things going out on social media, and this is one of the things that we have seen as well. Ian, can you tell us some of the organizations who have been involved with United Way?
Sure. And do you mean on the corporate side, or do you mean on the civil side, or the people of health?
Let's go with corporate and civil.
Okay, so I mean, all of our main corporate entities, people like Republic Bank, Scotia Bank, Massey, and so on, I mean, they all come and help us. And our energies are directed, as I mentioned earlier, sometimes to children's homes, sometimes to primary schools. We do have a big push towards our primary schools, because sometimes schools they can get overlooked.
Yes.
And they do have needs, and sometimes they don't come up in the cycle, can't get the assistance on a timely basis. So it's a combination of those two.
Okay, and now you would have mentioned in the example you gave of perhaps a home coming to you and saying, listen,
Yes.
we need X, Y, and Z done. Can people recommend, as you mentioned, overlooked schools? Because we see that a lot in Trinidad
Sure.
and Tobago. So can somebody come to you and say, maybe this is a school that you should perhaps reach out to? Is that something that's accepted?
Absolutely. We're always looking to build a relationship, because the way that projects are effective as long as there's an alignment. So you want to be able to go to a school, have a conversation, and that's how we do it. We have a conversation, we identify the needs. We are also realistic about what we can do. So it's already April. If you have a large project, it may be that it can't happen this year, but that doesn't mean that we don't want to put it on the list for next year. If it's a smaller project that looks more manageable and you're struggling to kind of get the resources, then so it's really about mixing and matching and making sure that we can bring the day off successfully, complete as many projects as possible, and ensure that people have a very, very good time giving of themselves. Because I do want to emphasize that giving of themselves in terms of volunteering, in terms of giving of their resources, is a big part of what National Day of Caring is about. It's about caring for yourself as well as caring for others.
100%. Now, you mentioned large scale and, of course, being realistic. So is it that there is no project that is out of bounds for United Way, or do you have certain criteria that need to be met?
I wouldn't say that it's a project that is out of bounds. It's always about resources. So, for instance, we have painted entire schools in a weekend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's huge.
Yeah.
So that's not a question of 10 volunteers turning up. That's 100, or that's 150. So that's what I mean about getting the balance right. And it can only happen if you can plan it. So in that context, no project is out of bounds. If we cannot do it in 2024, then great. We have a 2025 project that we can plan and work towards.
Excellent. Gail, tell us something. For those who are interested in getting involved, how can we get involved?
So you can contact us at 717-8630, or you could visit our website at UWTT.com, or email us at unitedway@UWTT.com.
So there are great ways to get involved. You can email, you can give a call. I know also the information is going to be at the bottom of your screen if you are interested in getting involved, and definitely something that is a game changer. It's a Sunday morning, and one thing we know about Sunday mornings when we volunteer is 9 out of 10 times we get up a little bit early, probably just as early as you would have gotten up this morning to be with us. Tell us, what does a typical National Day of Caring look like when it comes to being on the ground?
I would say that people kind of gather. Often they do that in a collective way. So instead of 5 or 6 people getting in their cars and driving down, often people would organize a maxi and so on, have a day. Often people bring family members, especially teenagers who have the energy and maybe the reach for some of that painting. And so what we've experienced generally is that it's a great day, either for families within your nuclear family, with your extended family, or often within your work family. Because people do enjoy spending time with their work colleagues outside of the office, outside of the workplace. Again, doing good and making a difference in people's lives.
And it's beautiful to see. I know that your team is going to be making a difference in people's lives, and it's been such a blessing to have you both on the show this morning.
Thank you.
Hoping that we can have you back after National Day of Caring
Yes.
to see what's taken place and see what's coming up for 2025.
Thank you so much.
Thank
It's been
you.
a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. United Way Trinidad and Tobago National Day of Caring is on Sunday, the 19th of May. You can get involved. So go ahead and check it out and make sure that you stay tuned, because coming up on the show, Ianka has a fantastic conversation that you don't want to miss.
Show me how to